We've done Asia, we've done Africa. Let's have a little scamper to South America. We've hardly ever been here. Why have we not? Why have we left it alone? I don't know why, but finally they fell pretty spectacularly on my radar. Whilst everyone was tucking into the Christmas dinner, there were some big things going on in Peru. I think it was in the top tier. Most leagues normally decided ultimately by one game, potentially two in a playoff. Nay, there was three in Peru. Here's Alex.
Exactly.
Tell us more about it.
The one thing better than
Set you up, a lovely foundation.
The one thing better than a two-legged playoff, a three-legged playoff.
Oh.
The final of the Peruvian Primera Division. For some reason, there doesn't seem to be any sort of away goals rule. So the match between Sporting Cristal, I like that, nice name.
Very, yeah, sort of designer.
Yeah,
name.
nice, you know, kind of top end.
You get that against your girlfriend's anniversary.
Exactly, against Juan Aurich. I don't know what that would be. But they drew...
Like the knockoff version of it you get in the market.
Of Cristal, exactly.
Sorry, any Peruvian football fans.
No, but it's kind of like that. Cristal are the real long-serving champions, and
Exactly.
Aurich are the upstarts from the north. So you sort of got that.
That's kind of knowledge.
It all ties together.
What happened?
So they drew the first game 2-2. Cristal were actually leading that one, and I think Aurich scored 2 in the last 5 minutes in the home game to make it 2-2. Second game, it was 0-0, so it just went to a third game, which didn't disappoint. 2-2 after normal time.
It's a really quick turnaround as well, I think. I think it's just sort of
It was fairly rapid. It wasn't like back-to-back, but it was pretty quick. But the third game, that was it. That was the decider. That was a case of if it couldn't be decided in normal time, it was extra time and penalties. Luckily, that rule was in place because it finished 2-2 again. So 4-4 in aggregate after 3 games.
Of each other.
And then in extra time, Cristal scored to make it 3-2 and take the championship. It's 5-4 on aggregate after 3 games.
It was funny in some of those, like the clip of the goal. Obviously, the goal scorer is celebrating pretty hard, but some of his teammates are just sort of trudging like,
getting ready for the fourth
and
leg.
the opposition are just like look relatively like, yeah. Thank God for that.
Well, to be fair, it won't be much consolation, but Aurich scored by far the best goal of the game. Absolutely incredible overhead kick. A sort of flip up and overhead kick.
We just went straight to the end. We fast-forwarded to the end.
It's a beauty. It was the goal of the game. Did they go ahead? I think
they went ahead twice, and then Cristal pegged them back.
I mean, by the end, they were probably just happy it was over, one way or the other. Just after your third leg, you don't really want to keep going.
You don't want to play anymore. But as you said, Cristal there, some of the big players in Peru. I was looking into them. One of their main rivals, Sport Boys. So watch out for them.
They just love the sport, those guys.
Those boys.
I like to play young boys in Switzerland one day. Fantastic.
An all-boys derby.
Exactly.
People want to see it. Just to tease, very shortly we're going to show a pretty sensational advert with Zlatan Ibrahimovic in, but while we're on the focus of Peru, as always when we sort of focus or touch on a nation we haven't done before, we like to sort of give them a bit of a health check and look at their history. Paul, you've done that, hopefully, for Peru.
Yeah, well, their recent history is fairly depressing, but there's sort of a pattern that Peruvian club football is always struggling. It's financially, it's poorly run, clubs come and go almost. You get clubs folding, clubs don't pay their players regularly. So club football generally is in the doldrums, and you can see that I'm pretty sure no Peruvian team's ever won the Libertadores. I think once they won the Sudamericana, that was like 2003.
Just don't seem to register, do they?
They've had a couple of finalists.
A couple of finalists. I mean, this year they were absolutely annihilated. Both teams in the Libertadores didn't. I think they got a point each in the groups, and that was that. So you know, you look at a nation which really struggles on the club stage, but internationally, the heyday was sort of the 70s when you had this team that could sort of trade blows with the best of them for sort of a brief window, and a team that quite unfairly were labelled as sort of a pragmatic, quite dour outfit in South American football, but actually played some fantastic football. And there was this very small heyday, sort of between any major competitions, really, where they were just a great team. I think the Copa America in '75, they were fantastic. But these days, the national team is still sort of got these good players, these superstars, but they're playing in Europe because they get out fairly soon because they can't really deal with the way the game's run, I think, in Peru.
I think it was it's both amusing and then eventually sad. But apparently a university team won the top tier. I think it was about a decade ago.
Yeah.
Imagine that. So we went to Nottingham University together, bonded. Went to school together as well. surprising.
Cool story.
But imagine that. Just you're having a few drinks with your mates. Yeah, you go into a couple of lectures a week, and then you win the Premier League at the end of the term.
We got to the weekend. I was going to go to North London, take on go play the Emirates.
Unbelievable. But what was sad about it was that they, very shortly after winning the league, they backed out completely because the FA were totally shabby, as you touched upon there. So there was some really disgraceful debts that the bigger clubs were collecting up, but the FA were just didn't really care at all. And I think that's a general theme, is the administration's just shocking.
Pretty poor, yeah.
And then I think we've kind of mentioned this theme before. If you don't pay your players, if you're going weeks or months without getting paid, why are you going to be motivated to give your best? And surely that domino effect, which seems to have been going on for decades now. So exactly what the turning point is, other than Norberto Solano being reborn like 11 times over.
And Claudio Pizarro as well.
I don't know.